Welcome to the BuyBox Experts podcast. We bring to light the unique opportunities brands face in today's e-commerce world.
Hi, I'm James Thompson, one of the hosts of the BuyBox Experts podcast. I'm a partner with BuyBox Experts and the former business head of the Selling on Amazon team at Amazon, as well as the first account manager for the Fulfillment by Amazon program. I am the co-author of a couple of books on Amazon, including the recent book, Controlling Your Brand in the Age of Amazon. Today's episode is brought to you by BuyBox Experts. BuyBox Experts takes ambitious brands and makes them unbeatable. When you hire BuyBox Experts, you receive the strategy optimization and marketing performance to succeed on Amazon. We also help investors with due diligence services. Go to buyboxexperts.com to learn more. Before I introduce our guest today, I want to send a big shout out to the team at Disruptive Advertising. For off-Amazon advertising, Disruptive Advertising offers the highest level of service in the digital marketing industry. Focusing on driving traffic, converting traffic, and enterprise analytics, Disruptive helps their clients increase their bottom line month after month. Check out disruptiveadvertising.com to learn more. Our guest today is Victor Elmann, Vice President of Vendor Management at Circuit City. He is responsible for the team that handles vendor relationship management, negotiations, product management, and customer experience. Prior to Circuit City, Victor worked for more than a decade in various firms handling vendor management. Victor, welcome and thank you for joining us today on the BuyBox Experts podcast.
Thank you, James, for having me.
Victor, it's a little unusual for us to have someone from a retailer on our podcast, as retailers often get the short end of the stick when it comes to selling products on e-commerce marketplaces like Amazon. Today on Amazon, your firm sells both Circuit City branded products as well as commoditized products offered by many other third-party sellers, in addition to Amazon retail itself selling some of these brands. Let's talk about how you think about each one of those. Tell me a little bit about, why sell Circuit City branded products on Amazon? What kind of SEO issues does that create for your brand?
Well, thank you for the question. It's a very important question, and you're right. It's very unusual to have a retailer sell on Amazon or any other marketplace. But something that you need to know is that that's where the trend is definitely going. You look on Amazon now, and it's full of big box retailers that you would have not seen 5-6 years ago.
Yep. Because
everybody's plan was to be direct to consumer. But as the market changed and as Amazon became more of a search engine where about 80% of all product searches start at, it's very important for retailers to get a piece of that search, that visibility on Amazon. And you certainly see in my industry, consumer electronics, you see the top retailers on there already. In other industries, you'll see that as well. So yeah, it's very important to be in there and to be when we say omni-channel, it used to be brick and mortar and your own .com. Now When we say omni-channel, we mean all channels, which is brick and mortar, direct to consumer .com, social media, marketplaces, anywhere where there's customers. We want to have visibility, and we want to make sure that we own that customer relationship throughout the whole journey and make sure that we're there for when the customer makes that buying decision.
So you're already spending money on social media advertising to drive traffic to your own website. You've got email lists that you're leveraging. How do you think about the process of bringing customers to Amazon versus bringing customers to your own website?
So we find that someone who's on circuitcity.com or on our website,
yes,
analytics finds that they have 4 different tabs open.
Okay.
They have all our competitors. They have the biggest competitor in our industry open in one tab. They have Walmart, they have Amazon, and they have our site open at the same time.
Okay.
So our customers are already price comparing or product comparing across the different platforms. One advantage is on Amazon, they have the unique customer base that they're looking for products. The product journey begins on Amazon. It may not begin on social media. It might not begin on Google anymore. It begins on Marketplace. And if we can offer a unique product on there, and if they choose to convert on Amazon or they choose to convert on another channel, we're okay with that.
So let's take, for example, a lot of broadly distributed brands, and I was just looking at some of the major electronic brands like Jabra or Sennheiser. A lot of these brands are being sold by lots and lots of third-party sellers on a marketplace like Amazon, and they have access to the same brands. Some of these sellers are authorized, some of them may not be authorized, but because of the broad availability of these products from a wholesale perspective, you're often competing with companies that may not be selling at the same prices as you. Some of them may be undercutting you on a marketplace like Amazon. Some of them may also be using Prime where you may not necessarily be using Prime. So how do you think about the process of being on Amazon when on an individual listing basis, you may not be able to be quite as nimble as some of these unauthorized sellers?
So that's a challenge that we face on a daily basis, and we help. We certainly help and guide our partners to help them enforce their MAP policies.
Yep.
But you're right; it's a big challenge competing against price. And to be honest with you, we don't want to compete against price.
Right.
And that's part of the story here of why retail is an important consideration for the brand owner. You want to have an authorized retailer that will help control the pricing across all the channels.
Yep.
But also, we want to offer a consistent customer service. If a customer was to buy a product from an unauthorized seller, they may not get a warranty for the product, or if they have any issues, they have no one to call. They don't have a toll-free number. They don't have live chat. They don't have any of those traditional customer support options. If someone was to call a major retailer that they trust and they know even if we're a little bit higher, they're going to get that service and value that they expect from a retailer that they won't necessarily get from a third party seller.
I agree with you in the concept that a customer is going to get better taken care of by a company, or in this case, a retailer that they recognize and have reason to believe is a legitimate seller of the brand. In order for customers to actually experience that better service, often you have to fight to be able to win the buy box on a marketplace like Amazon. And the way the algorithms on Amazon work, often they favor the lowest price seller, who may not necessarily have some of these extra post sale benefits that working with a retailer like you would offer. So how do you help to promote your offer on a listing when so many of these other companies are going to get top billing by way of the way the Amazon algorithm works?
Sure, and we definitely work with Amazon to help with that, the buy box sharing. So we do offer the Prime services as well.
Yep.
But one thing that you should know right away is, even though we may or may not have the buy box, we notice that customers will buy from us over whoever owns the buy box.
Yep.
They will also, there's a lot of cross parity. They will also convert at the Circuit City site, or any other retailer site, or however retailer we're talking about here.
Right.
They will convert in those sites, and we see the cross parity, and we see the funnel and the flow come in through different channels as well. I think the customers want that traditional retail support. If they have a bad buy, it's going to be a waste of investment if they don't get that warranty.
Right.
And I think that's an important factor that customers and anybody should just be cognizant of. There are also ways on Amazon to drive traffic to other sites. They have a really good DMP program. You can do a lot of sponsored targeting on Amazon to get the buy box. So there's certainly a lot of ways that, even though you may not be the cheapest on Amazon, there are ways to drive traffic to your specific listing or your buy box. And we think that we know, because it's been successful for us, when given the choice, customers will spend a little bit more, not like dramatically. We're not saying like don't be like crazy money, but customers want that they want that sense of peace of mind that if they buy something, they know they could return it. They have a problem, someone's there to take care of them.
So let's shift gears here. I want to talk about one of the other recent trends that's happened with brands, where some of them are starting to grant exclusive opportunities to certain sellers, be them retailers or online only sellers, but they're exclusively giving particular resellers the opportunity to represent their brands on a channel like Amazon. What do you think about that approach when brands choose to go that route?
I think it's important for the brand because one, there's a lot of counterfeit products on Amazon. And I think as a brand owner, if I was a brand owner, I would want to regulate the products so we make sure that it's authentic products.
Mm-hmm.
Two, it's from an authorized seller that can actually give the customer good support. So I'm actually, that's a very good trend. And I think Amazon is doing the right steps by building the new transparency program,
Mm-hmm.
by allowing gating on certain products to really helping this counterfeit problem that Amazon has. I've heard horror stories from brands, really tier one brands, that customer get a product that's just not authentic,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
that's a problem for everybody if that occurs.
So you've told me that you're a big believer that brands should be working with retailers on e-commerce channels like Amazon. Tell me about your perspective here. At a time when more and more brands are deciding to go direct to consumer, using FBA to simplify their shipping and their returns, what kind of conversation are you having directly with brands to try to talk them off that path?
We don't want to talk them off that path. I think it's important for the brands to have a presence direct to consumer, but I think we can help them in that path by offering more data, more analytics that explains who their customer is across every single touch point. We can tell them, hey, we think that this red widget is going to be a hot seller. You should focus more on red widgets. Or, one product may work in a certain channel, but won't work in another channel.
Right.
The brand owners don't necessarily always understand every single touch point. They might understand one touch point specifically well, and we want to help them grow across all those touch points. And as partners, we're going to help share data with them.
My experience firsthand working with brands that are new to Amazon is that they just see higher margins going direct to consumer, but they don't necessarily see the additional complexity and the work they're going to need to do to be able to earn that extra margin. Talk to me about when you're representing brands today in traditional retail channels. Brands understand what that relationship looks like. Now a brand goes and decides to go direct to consumer on Amazon. While they may appreciate your insight, are there other things that you can do to basically get them to say, let us represent you in this e-commerce channel rather than you trying out as a brand to figure out how to make e-commerce work direct to consumer?
Absolutely. I mean, our feedback is great on all the marketplaces that we're on. We have multiple distribution centers across the country. So it's not just Amazon. When you think about e-commerce now, you have to think about every single marketplace, including direct to consumer. And we can help that. We have distribution centers across the country. We can deliver within 2 days anywhere in the country.
Yes.
Not just sending stuff to FBA, which is important, but even seller fulfilled Prime is another option for bulky items that may not necessarily make sense to send to FBA. And a lot of these brands starting out, to be honest with you, they don't have that logistical support. They don't have that customer support yet. So we like to incubate those brands, share with them, give them a piece of our marketing or a piece of our customer base so they can learn more. So our customers learn more about their products. I think that's one way to look at it.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, they give up a little bit on margin, but what they give up, they're getting a lot more in return. And that's not to say that they shouldn't go direct to consumer. I think brands should definitely continue to sell direct to consumer, but we offer an additional enhancement on top of that.
One of the pieces of feedback I've received from brands is that they're going direct to consumer in part because they don't really know the end consumer very well. They've traditionally had a retailer between them and the end consumer. And so by now going direct to consumer, there's a better opportunity for them to engage directly with consumers, collect consumer data that they can use to make better products. What do you think about that philosophy?
Absolutely. And that's again, another reason why brands should work with retailers, because it would just give them additional data. We would partner with them, not just in that specific widget, but we have experience with almost every single brand in every single category.
Yes.
That we can discuss what works, what doesn't work, why it doesn't work, what the pricing should be if a new widget's coming out. We have a lot of insight as to what the appropriate price might be, supply, demand. There's a whole host of things, and we have dedicated teams to help in this endeavor, to help those brands grow and succeed, which they may not necessarily have those resources when they're starting out.
One of the new trends with all this private label product now showing up on Amazon, many of these products, especially in electronics, I will gag if one more person says, "Hey, I have my own Bluetooth speaker brand." I mean, there are definitely categories within electronics where everybody can go build their own private label brand. As a large, sophisticated retailer, how do you think about the tiering of which types of products make sense for you to aim to participate with in an e-commerce marketplace versus letting these private label sellers go and sell, headsets and speakers and so on and so forth?
That's a tricky question because specifically on Amazon, I think Amazon needs to do a better job in regulating the number of vendors. I mean, it became the wild, wild west. Everybody from China has a website now and a widget on there.
Yep.
And what happens is that the customer doesn't really find what they're looking for. There's just too many products and too many pages, which is another, again, I don't want to sound redundant here. The reason why the omni-channel works is because the vendor says, hey, look at this retailer. He has this particular product. Let's go on their website and they'll see a more curated assortment. We have a customer hotline that can, customer support that can guide the customer to a purchase decision. And Amazon has become a little bit more self-service with all their products. So it's important to have that sales support, customer support option, and to also have that curated report. We find that the actual Circuit City brand page on the marketplace or on our website is very, very visited, very traffic. There's a lot of traffic goes to that section when we build the pages, and we see what customers are clicking on, what they're buying on there. So people are going on the brand page and they're going on specific categories to find a more curated product assortment, as opposed to using the search to find Bluetooth speakers, which you'll find a million pages.
Right. I want to talk about a category that's not electronics. On Amazon, in the watches category, Amazon actually offers resellers the opportunity to use basically a third-party manufacturer warranty service. So the warranty isn't actually coming directly from the manufacturer. It's coming from a third-party organization. Do you see that kind of model eventually becoming more relevant in electronics? Or do you see brands continuing to be the sole provider of the warranty post-sale?
In consumer electronics specifically, I can't speak to
yes.
the watches. I don't know about it. In consumer electronics in general, the trend has been over the last 10 years that I've been doing this, was to have an extended warranty. So you have the manufacturer warranty that comes with 1 year or 2 year generally.
Yep.
And then we usually sell an extended warranty for additional year or two, and people buy it for laptops and computers and TVs and things like that. On Amazon, they usually, in the consumer electronics section, they usually sell an extended warranty. I wasn't aware that I think all the products already have a warranty in it. So it's not like it just naturally comes with it. So I don't know how they can exclude the manufacturer warranty from a specific product. Maybe watches is different.
Well, watches has a manufacturer warranty, except that many of these manufacturers, if it's being sold by an unauthorized seller, they will void the warranty, but consumers don't necessarily know that. So Amazon steps in to try to fill the gap, which is confusing for consumers until they actually need the warranty and discover they're not dealing directly with the manufacturer. They're dealing with some unknown warranty company, which it certainly creates a different purchase dynamic, or in this case, a post-purchase dynamic. So let me ask you this. You've spent nearly 15 years building partnerships with brands. What advice do you have to brands on how they can build successful sourcing partnerships on Amazon and on other e-commerce marketplaces, given that Amazon is welcoming everybody, the brand, the retailer, the unauthorized seller, and they all can get equal footing on Amazon when it comes to the algorithms? What would be your advice to a brand that's thinking about potentially becoming more e-commerce centric?
Well, I would say the first thing that I would do if I were you is understand what your long-term goals are. A lot of brands start out on Amazon and they don't think about how they want to grow once they have whatever market share they have on Amazon.
Yeah.
So what we see is people go on Amazon, they sell really, really well. They have something that's ranked top 50, top 20 in a category. And then they want to branch out into retail and start selling in retail.
Yeah.
The problem with that approach is that if you don't think about it the right way, and you're not leaving enough margin or whatever the situation might be, once you're in the next step in your journey and you want to have retail relationships, brands are going to look for margin. They're going to look for a bunch of different things to support the product. So what we found a lot of the time is that the brands go in directly on Amazon. They have a low margin, and then once they hit retail, they can't afford the retail margin as well.
Right.
That's when the conversation ends. So it's important for a brand when they're thinking and strategizing about pricing and about how they want to grow to not just think about direct to consumer, but to leave a little bit of room for growth later on once they've outgrown just Amazon and just e-commerce and they want to expand across different partners, to think in advance about what that looks like strategically.
Mm-hmm. So as a retailer, you're used to owning the customer relationship in the store, merchandising, the messaging, the customer service, and so on. With e-commerce marketplaces like Amazon, that dynamic is flipped upside down. And you're often putting your product on a listing that may not be properly optimized or one that you don't have the ability to alter. So you can't create that same consistent branding that you'd like to have with what you have in your store. How do you think about engaging with Amazon customers when you can't ultimately manage the content that's going to be there on an Amazon listing?
So our partnerships with our partners are a very good one, and we explain to them why it's important to have brand registry as well. There's sub-brand registries that you can have. And the trend within our industry, and I don't know about others, but in our industries, is to give a little bit of ownership on Amazon to the authorized retailers, so they can build A+ listing, they can build the images, they can do sponsored ads and things like that. So it's very important as you work with these brands to talk about a true partnership, not just let's list your stuff on Amazon. Another method that we've used that has been super helpful in our industry is a bundling method. So for example, if the brand, and I'm just talking in general, right? Let's say the brand is a widget for smart home, right?
Okay.
Smart home has a bunch of different product categories and product lines, and they can only sell that one product that they manufacture. But working with a partner, a retailer that sells multiple categories and multiple products, we could offer accessories to go with it. We could offer a complete package, a complete solution to the end user, kind of like a smart home in a box, if you will. And putting those listings on Amazon gives another option that the brand can't do by themselves, but it's something the retailer can do for them because we sell all those options.
I want to finish our conversation today by asking you about how do you create a consistent customer experience for your customer, whether they buy in-store, whether they buy on your website, whether they see you on an e-commerce channel that you don't ultimately control. That consistency of what does it mean to buy from this particular retailer? How do you create that consistency?
Well, we want to make it easy for the customer. We want to give them value, and we want to give them post-purchase support. We want to do that over and over again. And even if you're not you decide to purchase from someone else, we still want to offer those options to the end user because they know that we're there. We can help guide them through that journey of from top of the funnel to the bottom of the funnel. And the important thing to understand here is all these channels are where the customers are right now. Customers they want to buy which method is convenient for them.
Right.
And we're, as a retailer, we need to make it as easy as possible for the shopper to shop which way they want. And I think the customer will appreciate that ease of use, the value, and the support from the traditional retailers.
So one last question. I'm a brand. I want to start engaging with retailers to figure out which retailers actually know what they're doing from an e-commerce perspective. What advice would you give to a brand on how to vet a retailer to figure out if that retailer knows how to do things on e-commerce channels?
Definitely look at who the retailer is, what their history is, what their reputation is in the industry. If the focus is on omni-channel, look at what they're doing well and direct to consumer. Look at what their feedback score is on Amazon. Look at what the A+ pages look like.
Yep.
Look at what the customer support looks like. Are they adhering to MAP? MAP violations could be a problem because if one person lowers price, another person matches, and then the whole channel,
right.
You're going to be spending weeks trying to bring the price back up to the MSRP or MAP price. That's why it's super critical when you work with a retailer, work with a legitimate retailer that can help you and guide you, that has resources. And then if there's any issues, you have someone to call that can take care of the problem for you. So vetting a retailer is one of the most important things. If a brand does choose a retailer to work with, just make sure they're reputable and they're going to adhere to the policies that you want.
Very good. Victor, I want to thank you for joining us today on the BuyBox Experts podcast. For those of you interested in learning more about Circuit City, please visit circuitcity.com. We look forward to having you join us again on a future BuyBox Experts podcast. And now to finish today's podcast, I'd like to share some final thoughts. For third-party sellers to be successful on Amazon, a critical lever will be soliciting feedback from customers. We at BuyBox Experts are really big fans of the team at Ecom Engine and its tools that help Amazon sellers to simplify the process of messaging customers of Amazon orders. To learn more, go to ecomengine.com. And with that, I want to thank you for listening today, and I look forward to joining you next time on the BuyBox Experts podcast.
Thanks for listening to the BuyBox Experts podcast. Be sure to click subscribe, check us out on the web, and we'll see you next time.